Today on HandyDadTV, we are transforming my master closet from this to this. These builder-grade closet-made shelves were just awful. There were only 4 bars in the closet, we couldn't slide the hangers, shoes were everywhere, and it didn't take advantage of our 9-foot ceilings. I replaced it all with Closet Evolutions kits that I bought online from Home Depot. Now we have plenty of drawers, hanging space, shelves, and of course, shoe storage. This system is relatively inexpensive, easy to install, and completely hangs on the walls so we can replace the carpeting without needing to remove the cabinets. That pile of cardboard there was after I unpacked all of these things. So what I have here is, these are the sides of the tall units. There's this notch here where a rail goes on the wall, and these actually hang on the wall. They don't sit on the floor, and that's something we like about it, because not only can we store things underneath them, like shoes and whatnot, but we can also replace the carpeting at some point and don't have to worry about removing everything. And these are the short sides, and we've got some long shelves, some shoe shelves over there, a lot of short shelves, and the rest of the boxes are the drawers. I opened up one drawer just to see what they look like. Now, this was the configuration that I had come up with when I was shopping online, and I took the measurements of each of the walls in the closet. I've got 3 walls. The first one that I'm going to be working on is what I call my side. That's going to be like this. Of course, these 2 pieces are going to be reversed. I'm going to put the shelves over here, and then the hanging stuff on that side. And then this will be my wife's side, and that's going to be in the back. This is just a shoe shelf. Now, I wanted to get them from Home Depot because I had a discount coupon because I moved into my new house. So what I wound up buying, here, I got a list here. I wound up buying 2 of these types of units, and then a shelf unit and a shoe cabinet as well. So these are basically the instructions. They're all kind of the same. This is what the standard unit looks like, and then the utility cabinet instructions can either be used for the shoe shelf or just a shelf unit. And this is what the rail looks like that these will hang into, right like that. Now, as far as the height is concerned, we have 9-foot ceilings here, and we don't have a linen closet. So you can see there's an awful lot of linens here. We need to use the space above the cabinets as well as below. And you can see I have a safe down here, and I took one of the long sides and I stuck it on it just to see. So that's about 18 inches off the ground, and that'll enable us to continue to use these shoe shelves that we have, as well as put a box under there too, so you can see the height there. So I think we're going to put them 18 inches off the ground, and that's going to give us a good amount of space on the top too, to put a bin or something like that. Like these bins will still fit up there, and that's what we're going to do. It's going to make the drawers a little bit higher than normal, but that's okay. Here you can see these are the original wire racks that were installed by the builder. They are annoying, so we are getting rid of them. And here you can see I put this side up on top of the safe just so I can gauge the height. And here is the wall bracket that's going to go in there. This rail goes on the wall, and I put a piece of blue tape at the height of the bottom of the rail, and I just have to transfer that all the way around the room. And to do that, I am going to use my laser level, which I've attached with a clamp to the top of the door. And that enables me to spin it anywhere around the room, and it transfers that mark wherever I need it to. As long as I don't move it, I'm good. If you're plagued with these closet-made shelves and you want to remove them, you have to use a small screwdriver to get the nails started. And once the nail is started, you can use a regular pair of pliers to pull it out of the wall. And I'm saving all the hardware because, you know, these things do come in handy, especially in Julie and Josh's house where they need it in their laundry room. So we're going to recycle them.
Now, most of the shelves on the cabinets are adjustable, but some of them are actually fixed and they get put together with screws. And you can see I'm screwing through the sides into the shelves. And it's good, there's pilot holes already drilled in the shelves, so it's really pretty easy to line everything up and get them put in. Now, on my side of the closet, I was putting two cabinets right next to each other. I was sandwiching them. So to do that, I actually drilled these pocket holes, and I used a Craig jig to do that. And I only had to do that because I didn't want to use two sides right next to each other. I could have built them as two independent cabinets, but I didn't want to do that. I'm actually attaching the shelf unit to the drawer unit. So that's what I'm using these pocket holes for. Now, if you don't have a pocket hole jig, you certainly can just build it as two separate units. It would just be an extra 3/4 of an inch across. That's all. And you could see, once I stand it up, you can't tell. You can't see those pocket holes at all unless you get on the ground and look up. Now, on the wall, I marked all of the studs with a stud finder, and then I put that X where the cabinet end is going to be. And so this system, they want you to put a screw in every one of the studs, but they want you to use a hollow wall anchor if you don't have a stud close enough to the edge of a cabinet. And they provide you these wall anchors, and they're really pretty cool the way they work. They go in the wall and they spread out, and then it's like a zip tie. It's hard to explain. You'll see me do a couple of them, and they're actually really, really pretty cool. I do like them. And then, of course, I drove a screw into every one of the studs. I'm using my laser level to make sure the whole thing stays straight. And I do need to use another piece here, and I'm going to hold it up to the wall. I mark it with a Sharpie. I cut it with a very small hacksaw. I do have a bigger hacksaw, but it's at my daughter's house, of course, because we've been doing so much work there. That's my series called The Living Flip, if you haven't seen it. You should check it out. Now here, putting another hollow wall anchor where the edge of the cabinet's going to be. Now at this point, I noticed that the wall's not exactly straight, I guess, and I'm not really happy about the way that end is sticking out like it is. So I decided to mark where the hole is, and I put another hollow wall anchor in that spot.
Those things are so cool. Nice. Now it's straight. Yeah, it's going up on that rail, tight to the corner.
Here I got my son to help me lift it up onto the rail.
I think you're in. I think I'm in too. Okay. Ready? Yep. I think you're still in. It looks like you're in. Nice.
Looks good.
Yeah.
And here I'm installing the rail on the back wall of the closet. The blue tape is wherever the studs are. And I put a hollow wall anchor on the end. That's the only one I needed, because the stud is actually right behind where the cabinet end is. So I didn't need a hollow wall anchor there. I just needed it on the one end. The back here is where the shoe cabinet is going to go, and a long tall bar to the left-hand side of that. Of course, I did need another little piece of rail there. A hollow wall anchor in the middle. And a screw in the corner, because there's always a stud in the corner usually holding the sheetrock up. So It's never usually a problem finding a stud in the corner. Now here's a pretty good close-up of me putting that wall anchor in. And I'm following the same process here on my wife's side of the closet. Hitting the studs and putting in hollow wall anchors where they're needed. Now this is the shoe cabinet, and these shelves get screwed in the back and then they lean forward. They're tilted down onto regular shelf pins. And so you screw them in the back and you can put them at various different angles however you want them. And then it just puts these the little rails in the front so that the shoes don't fall off. And they just get pressed into the holes there. Now for the bars, you use these little brackets. They just have a tiny screw that screws them in place just so that they don't move. And then I measured it in place and cut it with that same little hacksaw. And it was a tight fit, but I pushed over the cabinet just a little bit to get it in there good and tight. Now one thing about these cabinets, they don't just hang on that rail. You actually do have to put this cleat underneath a fixed shelf on every one of the cabinets, and you have to screw it into at least 2 studs. And that just provides extra protection so that the rail doesn't come down. Now here I'm assembling the drawers. This is really an easy process, and I really like them because they have glue in the corners. So granted, they are all particle board, which some people would say is, really cheap. They're not dovetail, but I don't expect that in a closet, quite frankly. And then these dowel pins on the ends, just put some glue on and hit it down with a mallet, and it's ready to go. I just kept on going. I didn't have to wait for them to dry at all. The knobs came with it too, and they're good solid knobs. They're heavy duty. They're not cheap. That gets screwed onto the front of the drawer first, and then there's 2 screws that go in from the drawer itself into the drawer front. And there's a little bit of adjustment there. If you need to, you can actually adjust them up and down. And I do recommend putting these screws in by hand so you don't over tighten them. And the drawer glides came with a really easy template just to put some starter holes in with just a scratch awl. The only bad part is that they have oil on them, so it gets all over your fingers. And here, just not over tightening those screws either. Anytime you're in particle board, you don't want to over tighten screws. And the drawers, they're really easy. They just slide right in, and they are full extension drawers. They work really well. All right, a lot of progress has been made. Yesterday, I spent about a half a day, I guess, getting my side done. And then today, I worked on my wife's side. So what we have here, 2 bars, a bank of drawers with shelves above it, 2 more bars, and then 1 nice long hanging bar over there. And then of course this is the shoe shelves, and I still have to make my drawers, but for the most part it's usable. And I also have still have clothes I haven't unpacked, so there's definitely Definitely a lot of clothes that need to come in here. And for these shelves on top, I have to custom cut those because I cut the bars to fit the space. So that's the hardest part. So what do I like about the system? Well, I love the drawers. The drawers are really nicely well made, I think. They're glued corners, and that's a nice thing to see. They're really pretty too, and they are full extension, so that is really nice. Like those. The bars are really sturdy, really heavy duty, so I'm not worried about those being overloaded. And when you're working in a situation like this where the wood is against the wall, that's held nice and tight because of course there's a wall there, so that bar's not going to fall out. But over on this side, where I've got this one dangling end here, there's no way for me to hold that together unless I drilled through here, drove a screw to hold those together. And I may wind up doing that actually, because this worries me if this kicks out. Now that is tight, don't get me wrong, but if that kicks out, that whole bar could come falling down. So I'm probably going to do something on the side next to the wall. I'll put a strip of wood or something just to hold it nice and tight. But other than that, I think it's a really pretty good system. Now, of course, there are some, minor, you could see some chipping here. It's not the best quality. There's some here too. And the holes, there's always some chipping around the holes too, usually. And some of the shelves too, you could even see that one up top, although I think I may have done that when I was fitting that one in. But trust me, there are others, and I flip them so that you minimize any of that. But in general, I think this is a really good system, and I like the fact that they're off the floor because we can replace the carpeting and not have to take everything out of here. Plus we have a lot of space underneath it for, like, we have these shoe racks that my wife has a couple too. We're gonna stick them under there, and tons of shoe boxes will go under there too. And then there's storage above too, so we're thrilled. Now we just gotta fill it. This is such a difference. It's so organized, and there's much more space in here, not only for clothes, but we also added shoe storage above. There's still space down the bottom where we could put luggage and anything else that we might want to. And plenty of space above for off-season storage of bags and shoes and things like that. The closet we started with had wire shelves, those closet-made shelves that are standard from a builder. And that's the case. This house is only 3 years old, but now look at it. The shoes in the old closet were a mess, and now they are organized, easy to get to. And these are all the seasonal shoes, and then up the top, the off-season ones. Not just for my wife, by the way, but I also do the same thing. When you have limited space, you get these bins. We got these all at the Container Store, and that's where we put all of our shoes. Now for daily use, my wife can just come right in here and grab whatever she needs when she's on her way to work in the morning. And for me, I keep my daily shoes right here, and the off-season ones are put up the top. We only have a couple of accessories. On the back of the door, we have some hooks for belts and some handbags. And then over here, we have a valet bar. I really like that. It's really convenient to just hang up anything that I need to dress with, or I can hang my pajamas on here overnight, whatever the case may be. Now the holes on these units go all the way through. And that's actually a good thing because it lets you put the shelf pins on both sides. And that's great. With the adjustable shelves, you can make them nice and even. Now when you've got two fixed shelves across from each other like I have here, you have two choices. One is, well, this side was screwed in. The other side is the one that I used the pocket hole jig to create pocket holes for. But up here, you can see this is a fixed shelf, so this one is screwed from this side in. But this one is an adjustable shelf. It's a little irksome that these can't be perfectly opposite each other, because obviously these pins, the screw is in that hole there, so I can't put the pin in there. But that's the only situation where I had to deal with it like that. Everywhere else, they're nice and even. And by the way, I didn't wind up putting any kind of a screw in here or any wood against it. The clothes on this are heavy enough that it stays in there. I'm not worried about it coming out, so it's not been a problem, and I haven't had to do anything with it. By the way, here's a tip. In the morning when I come in to get dressed while my wife is still in bed, I use this motion sensor light set on the lowest setting, and I just leave it above the frame there. These things are great. I use them in cabinets and whatnot, but it's rechargeable, and it just casts enough light that I can find my clothes, but it doesn't make the whole room bright, so it doesn't wake her up. So I'll put a link to that down in the video description. So I really recommend Closet Evolutions. This product is really pretty good for the money, I must say. I got them at Home Depot. I will put links to these down in the video description below. You can buy them directly online from Home Depot and have them delivered to your house. It's really a convenient, easy way to do it. But thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, leave me a comment, and I will see you in the next one.
Welcome home.
Be sure to subscribe and watch our new series, The Living Flip. Ooh. And that has 1.25 inches.
It's the little one. That's all I